They say that the spirit of liberty runs in the veins of the Kuna Indians. Their territory is one of a kind in the world. I now tread on the first autonomous Indian land in the Americas. The Kunas have always refused foreign domination. They fought and shed blood nearly a century ago to save their lands. Since then, free on their comarca, they've insisted on maintaining their identity and asserting their independence.
We have nothing to do with Panama or Colombia. I myself have never been to Panama or Colombia. Even though today the President of Panama is on our side and we are recognized by the United States government. We have relations with Panama. Ministers, lawyers, ambassadors. Our representatives have gone to Panama for negotiations, to get aid and create cooperation. That is how we coexist with Panama.
To be allowed to visit the village, I have to slip a little cash to Constantin Lacaze, the island's wise man and spiritual leader.
You would never have had the right to come here before. Never. The old ones were afraid of foreigners because they couldn't understand them. They spoke neither English nor Spanish. They were afraid of bad things happening. But not anymore, because we have schools and we educate ourselves.
I return to the sea with this conviction. The Kunas survive, free and determined, and that is their wealth. But for how long? My boat gets lost again in a maze of several hundred small islands. As we come around a mangrove, Ramon and his nephew regain control of the elements. The sea feeds the Kunas and the craft industry supports them. After having bought several molas, the traditional textile art, I am invited for a meal with Ramon's family. The hospitality of the Kunas is that of the sea people, who love to see a visitor's ship brightening the line of their horizon.
This is our sleeping room.
Nosotros dormimos aquí en las hamacas.
We sleep on these hammocks. We sleep 6 in here.
No todas las familias tienen islas.
And the island belongs to the family.
Algunas familias tienen.
Not all families have their own island.
Es que las islas son de herencia.
The islands are an inheritance, and my brother and I inherited this one. My son is married, and he moved to Panama. He works there now. As for my daughters, it will depend on the man they end up marrying. If the man works in Panama, then they will go there. Otherwise, they'll stay here, which I would prefer. But I won't force them to do it. Personally, I don't like the city of Panama because of all the drugs and violence. Life is much more agitated than it is here. I'd rather live here in Kuna Yala. We're losing everything, though. The Kunas are humans like any others. Problems happen everywhere, and we have them here in Kuna Yala too. Drugs, delinquency, immorality. All this affects our comarca. And this is why the future of the Kunas doesn't look too bright.
Wisdom and the sea have protected the Kunas from invaders for 5 centuries, since the conquistadors began their assault on the New World. Recent entrenchments have left them feeling fragile. I slip away discreetly. The return to civilization is brutal. Noisy, dilapidated, and colorful, Colón is a charming city. I feel good here. Nonetheless, it does have the bad reputation of many port cities. Insecurity and poverty have installed themselves in what they call the Little Gold Cup. Colón had its moment of glory, building many of Panama's largest fortunes before slipping into obscurity.
Gracias, señor, por los alimentos que nos ha proveído en el día de hoy.
Es una de las provincias o la segunda provincia que más ingresos le trae al país.
This province still brings in a lot of money,
Se queda en manos de ciertas.
but most of the money stays in the hands of certain members of government.
Es algo que Colón debe ser una ciudad que debe ser la cara de Panamá, especialmente por lo que es el turismo. Colón debiera tener.
Colón should again become the window of Panama,
Meterle todo el esfuerzo posible,
particularly for tourism.
la plata necesaria para que vuelva a ser la tacita de oro.
Leaving Colón, the traffic jams and storefront signs guide me to another idea of the world. A walled temple to a globalized market economy only a few hundred meters from the asphyxiated town.
Buenas tardes, caballero. Permítame su pase.
¿Está bien? Gracias.
Gracias.
I've never seen a commercial center quite like this one. It's as big as a city. Ships from around the world sell their cargoes before leaving fully loaded with containers. Billions of dollars are exchanged behind these unseeing walls. Commercial fever has hit Colón's free trade zone, and Francisco has set up his stand.
Limón, piña, tamarindo. Un poquito de cada una. Echarle la leche condensada. Ahí está servida.
I've worked here for 25 years. I sell raspados, candy, and drinks. And I help visitors like yourself, who come from everywhere. This is a free zone where we sell every kind of international product. We work here and we depend on foreigners to come from all over. What flavor do you want? Pineapple, lemon, or tamarind? Since it's an international place and central, we are in Central America, many foreigners come here for work. There are also many companies that come here because of the canal. And of course the port is very important to us because it brings many people. Dollars flow like water here. It's a real gold mine. Here's your raspado.
I get back on the road and go to the gates of the gold mine, where a group of men are orchestrating a giant ballet. Certain myths bring a voyage into the realm of legend. The Panama Canal is one of those. I approach it at last. I sit here on the quay for hours, just watching this well-oiled machine operate. Here, men have imagined an enormous universe, as though the world had changed scale. On this giant planet, powerful locomotives pull objects the size of dinosaurs.
Álvaro, adelante. C, te están filmando. Ok, estoy en el bajo, voy a sacar el barco ahorita mismo.
Why is it delicate? Because you need a lot of experience and a lot of training before you can drive a locomotive. You've got about $2 million worth of equipment in your hands. You need to make sure that the angle of the cable to the boat stays correct. Otherwise, it could pop the locomotive off its rails and drag it in the water. You need for the cables to control the boat, not the other way around. There's about 17 tons of pressure on each cable.
Boats line up to enter into this corridor of 80 kilometers that will save them $8,000. The biggest pay $250,000 in tolls. The geography here means the country has hit the jackpot. Does it impress you?
Sure, of course it impresses me. These boats are enormous and there are lots of them. You can see, there are 4 at the same time there. That one's huge, one of the biggest that pass through here. I love to see these gigantic boats because they're very good for the country's economy. From a personal standpoint, I am very proud because there is more traffic now with us Panamanians than when the Americans ran it.
My wanderings along the Cay of Gatун's locks have resulted in a rare privilege. I'm invited to climb on board one of the canal's tugboats, that of Francisco, who is completing his pilot training. You send out your line, you verify that all the sailors have their security equipment, then you hook up and you call the pilot to say you're ready to go to work.
South 20 Bravo, Lacaze, ready to work.
Okay.
She's an oil tanker. Her cargo is dangerous. It could be diesel, fuel oil, or kerosene. She's about 225 meters long and 35 meters wide. She's a Panamax, which is the largest size that can pass through the locks. From one ocean to another, an idea as ancient as the discovery of America makes its way. My spirit sails along with these giants of the seas. I navigate in the wake of Christopher Columbus, Baron von Humboldt, and Ferdinand de Lesseps. The adventurers of the 2 oceans can sail in peace. The route to India exists. I enter into Panama City via the Pan American Highway, which I won't be leaving until I pass the first border of my journey, that of Costa Rica. I discover Panama City on a Saturday. The streets are deserted, but long lines have formed in front of the banks of the capital. It's the day of La Quincena.
La Quincena is a payday in Panama. La Quincena is the payday that comes for every 15 days you have worked.
There'll be a party tonight, no?
Yes, of course. Whoever has got money can do what he wants with it.
Panama City is a paradise for bankers and a hell for motorized drivers like me. It's a hell peopled with Diablos Rojos, red devils. These buses from another time crawl all over the city with the imaginations of their owners splashed all over their carcasses. I jump on wands and drown myself in the anarchy of traffic.
You have to know how to drive in Panama. Very well, too. You must pay attention to whoever is in front of you and behind you to avoid an accident. You have to keep looking in your rearview mirror. Ah, those kids didn't pay.
You're 18 minutes behind the bus in front of you.
I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I start my first route at 5 o'clock. I do the full circuit 6 times in total until 10 o'clock at night. I'm obliged to do it because there aren't any jobs. It's very hard to find any work in Panama, you know. But I like this job because the money comes in fast and easily. I don't have to wait 15 days to get my salary. I earn money every day, $30, $40, or $50 every day.
Panama City is an odd place. It's one of those capitals where different universes stand next to and cross one another every day, even though they're light years apart. In a parking lot, 2 steps from the skyscrapers of Paitilla and the financial district, I run into Khaled and Richie, who want to break into the music business.
We got to finish editing the clip for that one, bro.
Yeah, you're right.
We need a super babe for the clip. Serious stuff.
This part here is so cool.
This song has a positive message because it's against drugs and violence.
Yeah, it's about what goes down in Panama. What happens every day in the neighborhoods.
In the ghetto, man.
Yeah, that's what we live every day here.
Check it. Put the sound up a bit.
Joe, ha, el Calet, una nueva generación, you know, Guatemala y Panamá, yo, Centroamérica.
Minsta Flow Clan, NGT Production, representando el ghetto, la buga.
El Calet, Minsta Flow.
Yo, ready for the rest. Oh, no. Porque le hablan a los niños de marihuana. Si quieres tú fumarla, vete tú a fumarla, yo. Porque se meten con el inocente. Porque se meten con mi gente. Dímelo.
Yo.
Richie Daddy. Con el mago de los instrumentales.
Elian.
Y
Fabulosa Estéreo.
Mejor se daña.
In Central America, we don't see that many dollars passing around. There's a lot of poverty. In fact, Panama is pretty lucky because we have the dollar and we have the canal too, which brings in a lot of money and makes life easier for us compared to some others. I'm not saying it's easy to live here, but compared to Honduras or Ecuador, for example, it's a lot better here.
Night has enveloped the capital for a few hours. I get lost in the deserted back alleys of Casco Viejo, searching for an air-conditioned refuge. On the sidewalks, the temperature climbs relentlessly. I jump on a bus and step off onto another planet.
La Chivas Parrandera? The party bus. That's an everyday thing here. It's a way to have a good time with your friends. Nightlife in Panama is great. It's the bomb. You can sing, you can dance. You can do it all in this city.
I haven't slept much this night, and the Pan American lurches as it unravels its burning asphalt beneath my wheels. 48,000 kilometers from Alaska to Argentina, an entire continent in one go, the thought of which brings back my headache. I want to see the Pacific again, cool down in the sea air. Puerto Mutis is at the end of the road, a piece of the world stashed in a dense jungle. The little lost port has its guard up at the end of a swampy creek facing the Pacific. Crossing its width is one of the busiest secret highways in the world. It's used for cocaine, leaving neighboring Colombia to inundate North America. In Puerto Mutis, the Old West still exists.
The big boats belong to the maritime authorities. The ones you see with 4 big motors are the ones that were confiscated from traffickers. The authorities seized them. It's not like the state paid for them. They took them from drug traffickers.
Do a lot of traffickers pass by here?
Yes, this is the Pacific. It's a major issue here that nobody dares to confront.
Why do they come by here?
Because of the canal. Plus there's the ocean, the land, the sea. Everything they need, basically.
Pilo the fisherman tells me another story of the sea, about an isolated island in the open sea that was a lair for pirates and drug traffickers and was transformed into a prison. The law of the jungle has its attraction. I head for Coiba. I come alongside one of the largest islands in Panama. Coiba is one of those places where you always get the feeling you're contemplating the first dawn of the world. The Pilo Penitentiary is indeed there, slowly being devoured by the mugginess and vegetation. 1,500 prisoners lived through hell here. Inside the disciplinary area, the heat and humidity are unbearable. I imagine the conditions for the prisoners crammed into these cells. Nobody knows just how many lost their lives in that prison.
There were 9 or 10 prisoners in this cell. That was the bathroom, the shower for washing off, and the toilets. Here you can see where the prisoners tried to push out the grill to escape. They spent 2, 3, 4, or 5 days in the forest trying to build boats and get off the island. At Coiba, men have forgotten the meaning of time. The prison has been officially closed for several months, but a handful of prisoners have managed to ease their suffering.
What are you doing? Who's that kitchen towel belong to?
Margarito.
What's you got to eat today?
Some chicken and rice.
Can you go look for some water, Lario? Chavez, you take care of cleaning up in front of the base.
I also see the island as a paradise. Of course, I see it like that. The difference here is we're not stacked up on top of each other like in a classic prison. They might set me free this week, but I might have to wait 5 months before I get my freedom back. And that will be after 18 years and 5 months of prison. Lots of people ask me the same question, whether I'll miss the island when I'm not here anymore. Well, who knows? Maybe yes, maybe no.
You are right, Ilario. Even in paradise, you can't put a price on freedom. Heading out for the border, I drink in the good feeling of rolling down the highway this afternoon. There's nothing quite like the freedom of being on the road. Hey, where are you headed?
Panama.
I'm going from Panama up to Hidalgo in Mexico. It'll take me 8 days. You can't go very fast. There are some difficult parts in Costa Rica. There are even some dirt roads, so it can be slow going.
The idea of slowness appeals to me. I climb in Dario's truck. I begin the crossing of the second country on my trip. Costa Rica will also show me 2 oceans. First, the Pacific and the forests of Corcovado National Park, before the climb up the Talamanca Cordillera to visit the Caribbean coast. I devour the first kilometers of this land of forests. The Pan American is the lifeline between the 2 Americas, and Dario knows it by heart. He shows me the ropes.
I really like being a trucker. One of the interesting things about this job is that you get to visit so many places. But as with anything, there are advantages and disadvantages. The hard part is that you are often far from your family. You spend a minimum of 15 days without seeing your friends, your children, or your wife.
I only roll along with Dario for a few hours before our paths part. He's going to head for Nicaragua, while my destination is the forests of the Corcovado National Park. I want to dive right into the miracles of biodiversity, drown myself in its green tides. The names for these forests come from a dream: rainforests and cloud forests. In this waterlogged kingdom, my road soon turns into a trail. Coming around a corner, I see that the trees no longer rule here. They die so men can live.
We make pallets here for exporting bananas. The trees we use are grown on a farm. They are melina. These farms were deforested and we replanted them. I think that everyone should do as we do and only cut down cultivated trees. We shouldn't even be touching the natural forests.
Costa Rica has classified 1/3 of its territory as national preserves, which is unique in the world. They even disbanded their army to invest in the protection of the forests. Nevertheless, the Corcovado National Park has fallen victim to a fever. Gold hides in the rivers and attracts prospectors. I hear their call deep in the forest. I decide to accompany them along this riverbed that is the source of all their dreams. In the hollow of the meandering stream, I catch the fever too.
There's a little gold sticking out there.
And you find a lot?
I find 4 grams, 2 grams, not a whole lot. It depends on the day.
How much do you earn like that?
15 euros, 50 euros per day. Sometimes just enough to eat. Before, there were big mining companies. There's not much gold left here because the company already pulled it all out. To find any, you have to climb up high in the mountains of the National Preserve. But you can get arrested there by the police if they catch you prospecting for gold on parklands. The police will cuff you and put you on probation. If they catch you a second time, you get 3 years in prison. They really give us no chance, even though we have families to feed. I've got 2 kids, and he has his mother and father.
The gold is not enough to keep me in the damp depths of Corcovado. The road is the river I want to follow. As night falls, I leave the prospectors. I get started climbing the slopes of the Talamanca Cordillera. San Isidro opens the door to the mountain of death, the Cerro de la Muerte. Fog hits me at the summit, more than 3,000 meters above sea level. On the other side, I seesaw towards San Jose, the capital. San Jose has all the marks of a city swollen by rural exodus. Half of the country has come here to shelter, hoping to find work.
I've been working here for 18 years at the Plaza of Culture, which we call the Plaza of Pigeons. In 18 years, I've never missed a day of work. There are always people who want a photo with the pigeons. There are lots of people who want to come and live in San Jose. The problem is that there's not enough room for everyone. If there was more room, everybody would come to live here.
San Jose doesn't hold my interest. The capital is constantly recovering from the caprices of geology, exhausted and wrung out, waiting for the ground to stop shaking so it can continue growing. I decide to change my horizon and get away to another world. To the north, the riches of the Caribbean coast await. The country's economic lifeline is called Puerto Limon. From here, Costa Rica inundates Europe and the U.S. with the miracle fruit, bananas. I hang out on the quay of Central America's principal fruit port. Work stops during the deluge.
We can't work when it rains because it rots the banana boxes.
Would it bother you if I filmed you and your colleagues?
No problem. We're artists too, you know.
A la campana de la patrie, el ulelore arrivé.
Chicken, fresco. This is fresh chicken. 2 portions for me.
I never get tired of spending time on a busy shipping dock, of those moments right before a big departure. Carlos conducts the orchestration of this imminent voyage, and it's obvious that he loves what he does.
Here we have every possible guarantee. We have amazing social help and stability. The only thing our government still needs to give us is the right to unionize. The last government forgot the workers a little bit. But if I were reborn 5 times, I'd only ask God that it be in Costa Rica. It's the only place for me. There's no other place like Costa Rica. I am very proud of being born in this land of liberty, hope, and quality. Of being born in Costa Rica.
Carlos's paradise has the taste of salt and the colors of the tropics. This coast lives in the rhythm of the nearby islands. The Caribbean is close, so is Jamaica.
My name is Beto, and I'm going surfing because there are some tasty waves out today. Those who know will always tell you the most waves come when it's raining, man. Do you surf at all?
A little, yeah. How was it?
It was really good. Excellent.
Some good waves?
Yeah, they were a meter high. And so I got a few tubes. But I wiped out on the rocks over there.
This part here, in the floor there.
It kind of hurt.
Come off of the wave.
I fell on my back like this.
Maybe some reef. Big up, see? Claro. De Costa Rica.
In Costa Rica, all roads lead you to the forest. The one taking me to the border brings me near a majestic mountain emerging from the verdant ocean. The Arenal is sculpted perfectly by nature. It is a conical volcano, active and menacing. Access to its flanks is strictly forbidden. I drive into the jungle that grows at its feet, ignoring the monster for now. Donald has an eye for all the marvels of the jungle. Under the umbrella of plant life, he spends hours scrutinizing every detail of a world teeming with life. I leave with him to listen to the sounds of nature.
Esta es la ranita roja venenosa.
This is a small red frog. She is poisonous because of toxins in her skin that could cause a cardiac arrest if we touched it. And now she is singing.
Oh, preciosa.
Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh.
Bueno, la protección del bosque y de toda su
The protection of the forest, of the plants and the animals, it's a law here. A law which can send you to prison. This country sets an example in environmental protection for the entire world. Our country has more protection programs than Brazil, for example, which is 100 times bigger than Costa Rica. It's a country where you can study a large variety of species, flora and fauna. It's an open book where you can learn something every day.
The Arenal has shown me its forests, but not the spectacle of its anger. No matter, the land of volcanoes is my next stop. Entering into Nicaragua, I cross the last border of my journey and enter into yet another world. I get ready to experience the poorest country in Latin America. My first image in this country is one of perfection, an ideal pyramid, that of the Concepcion volcano. Its disturbing silhouette reigns over Ometepe Island in the middle of Lake Nicaragua. I want to get close to the monster, so I head for one of the largest freshwater islands in the world. The vastness of the lake is breathtaking.
The lake is so big it even has sharks in it. We don't see them on the surface like we do in the oceans, but they are out there. There aren't that many because a Chinese company came and fished them to sell the fins.
Religious fervor can be a soothing remedy when one lives on the flanks of a monster. I step onto Ometepe in the middle of a procession. The whole population is out in the streets. Meanwhile, the volcano sleeps above the island, at least until its next angry outburst. But it's nothing to worry about, since God watches over all his faithful flock.
We are not afraid of the mountain. I am 71 years old, and ever since I was 10, I have seen the volcano erupt many times. Those who come from the outside, they're afraid. They're afraid of the volcano crashing onto their heads. But we believe that God protects us and controls the volcano. He won't let it hurt us. He's not going to kill us. There is a place on the volcano that we call the garden. If you pick a flower and then you try to go back home, you won't be able to. It's an enchanted garden that casts a spell on you. You'll go around and around without getting out until you put that flower back where it was. It is an enchanted place, and there are sorcerers who live there.
I don't have time to climb up to the enchanted garden. I turn away and leave the absolute beauty of Concepcion. On the other side of the lake, Granada watches the centuries go by. The oldest town in the New World has lost none of its character. Conservative, ultra-Catholic, and Freemason, Granada is still a very proud city. It is said that the city refused a visit by the dictator Somoza, even though that family had ruled Nicaragua for over 40 years. Blessed with a rich colonial heritage, Granada has maintained its beauty and freshness.
Tourists and foreigners have bought many properties here. And they love living in Granada. The problem is many are leaving because of the government. We have a bad government, and we're going to try and stop them from being re-elected. You have to watch your spending if you want to be able to eat tomorrow. It's a bad government, a bad government.
The old colonial port remains the province of the richest families in Nicaragua. Social inequity is poisoning the entire country, and Granada is no exception to the rule.
Welcome to the Pasos family mansion. This is the salon. And the house is in the colonial style with an interior garden.
A lucky few grow richer and richer, while half of the population hovers at or below the poverty line. After years dealing with dictators, civil wars, and natural disasters, Nicaragua is having difficulty recovering. The capital, Managua, is a perfect example. Getting lost is easy because there are no street signs left to tell you their names. To get oriented, I climb in the Loma de Tizcapa. Way up high, a silhouette watches over the city.
Can you tell me who that statue is of?
Yes, that's Sandino, a hero who fought for us and for the freedom of our people. They say that before, there was a president who always got us in wars, and Sandino was able to make him stop it.
In the 1930s, Augusto Sandino became the hero of the resistance against American occupation. After his death, the Sandinista revolution carried on the fight. It toppled the dictatorship in the 1970s and stopped the bloodshed.
What's the economy like here?
The economic situation is difficult. The problem is that there are some jobs, but the few jobs that exist are badly paid. And the cost of food, for example, is much too high for people to pay.
I leave Managua to its long convalescence and continue my voyage. Thousands of kilometers of traveling have long ago converted me to the cult of the road, and I'm not the only one who has joined the Pan American fan club. The Vogel family is from the U.S. and has been on the road for a year. Having left from Alaska, they plan to go to Tierra del Fuego at the southern tip of the continent, a 2-year family trip from one America to another.
Our main focus of this trip is our 2 sons, who are 11-year-old twins. They're going to be in the Guinness Book of Records for being the youngest to ever cycle the entire length of the Pan American Highway.
It's the Guinness Book of World Records, Dad.
It's world records.
Yes. Well, we've met lots of people. They've been really nice. There's also been several bad times on the road.
Why were they bad?
Raining.
We're not really sure what the Pan American Highway is, but we're doing the best we can to follow whatever it is.
It is an amazing thought to think that here's this continent of Americas that's so long, and yet the whole thing is connected by a road, a series of roads. It really is an amazing thought. I mean, we expect to ride somewhere between 18 and 20,000 miles, approximately 30,000 kilometers.
It's not finished, huh?
Yeah, halfway. So we still have a long ways to go.
Tonight, the sky doesn't look good for our biking family. Coming into Leon, my thoughts turn to them as a storm threatens. Leon will be just a quick stop on my tour. I was told that I should make a point of stopping at least overnight to get a taste of the lovely and authentic colonial decor. I discover a city that is warm, lively, and seductive.
It's the college town in Nicaragua. And there are young people who come here to study from everywhere. Leon is really well known for its colleges. Managua is really big, and there are also lots of parties and bars, but you don't feel as safe there as you do here. Plus, there are more women than men. All of us really hot girls are here, and the really hot boys are all over in Managua.
The night was short, and the first faint rays of dawn guide me towards a dark monolith. This was the day I walked on the moon.
So, here we are. It's a small cone volcano, one of the youngest in Central America, of the 30 active volcanoes of this region. The Cerro Negro was formed in 1850 with 25 major eruptions over a period of 158 years.
Alain is a passionate volcanologist. One by one, he has climbed every volcano in Central America and has lived in Nicaragua for 40 years.
We made it clear to the Nicaraguans that the mountains were either sacred or dangerous, and that it was out of the question that they go near them. The peasants who accompanied me for the first time I visited each volcano at a certain distance from the crater said, "I will not go any further. I won't go inside, the inside of the crater. I don't know it." But I respected them. And I had all the problems that are associated with changing their attitudes.
At the feet of the sleeping giant, the earth burns in the village of San Jacinto. David and Estrella help me clear a trail.
We walk around here all the time. We're used to it. We've been doing it since we were little, since we were 5 years old. You can cook an egg in a sock here in 5 minutes, and you can eat it too. It's for your skin. My Grammy, who was 115 years old, said that this volcano, rather than erupting upwards, would erupt with its head on the bottom. That's how the fumaroles are formed. And that is why we are still alive. The volcano hasn't exploded. It's still breathing. Over there, a little boy named Juan was fighting over some candy when he got his shoes all burned up.
After I leave, David and Estrella will patiently wait for the next visitor. Perhaps, like me, he'll slip them a few dollars to help them feed their family. Nicaragua is a paradoxical country. How can so many riches condemn its people to poverty? I don't have the answer, but some think there might be a solution. It has a name, Rivas. Here at the end of my journey, I find the beginning of hope, that of a new canal.
So, here at the Isthmus of Rivas is the entry point of the canal, which in theory should have been done before Panama, but the Americans had other ideas. The Chinese were here recently, because doing a canal for them is about half of the cubic meters they dug out doing their big lake. So that's one possibility. We talk about it every 2 years. Every year there's a feasibility study. They've been thinking about it for a while. Maybe one day they'll do it.
Reuniting the two oceans again could mean an end to the misery. The road will be long, but an entire people still hope. Another canal might mean another destiny.